Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Medrano, and I'm going to be talking today about using REVEL in the classroom. So I am an adjunct instructor of Sociology and Chicano Latino Studies at College of the Sequoias, or COS, and Fresno City College, and also Fresno State University. So I teach Soc 1 Intro to Sociology at both COS and Fresno City College, and I pretty much follow the same syllabus at both schools, meaning I'm using the same textbook, I'm using the same lectures, but I noticed that my students were not performing the same. And so I think this has to do with the background of my students. So at COS, it's more of a rule setting. It's a traditional college student profile, so my students tend to be younger, straight out of high school. If they're working at all, most are working part-time. Many still live with their parents. And generally, I think because they're younger, they tend to have better study skills. At Fresno City, this is more of an urban setting with over 500,000 people in Fresno. We have the second highest auto theft rate in the country. My students tend to be more non-traditional, so they're a bit older, have many who are working full-time. They're taking classes at night. Many are parents, many are single parents, and they tend to have poor study skills. So some challenges that I saw, particularly at Fresno City, is one that they did have these poor study skills. And so I could tell that students were not reading the textbook that I was using. So every semester, it seemed like I had at least a handful of students come to me the first week, second week, third week, fourth week, and they would tell me, well, it seems like you lecture out of the book. Do I really have to buy it? And I would say, yes, you have to buy the book, right? So my students were not reading. And that meant that we really had limited class participation and engagement. So it is difficult to have in-depth advanced analytical discussions when no one has read the chapter. So for example, I would come in and chapter 6 is on deviance, and I would ask the class, so what is deviance? And I would get nothing, right? Maybe one person would murmur, it's a violation of norms, right? But that was just one person. And so I could tell it when I was lecturing on the material, they were hearing it for the first time. And so they thought, I'm supposed to talk about it first, and then they're supposed to read, if they read at all. And so this really impacted their exam scores. And so in the fall of 2014, I administered 4 exams. And I used publisher-provided test banks for these exams. And at COS, the average exam score was 75%, which is average. At Fresno City College, however, it was 68%. So that meant my average student was failing my class. And this really, I started having a crisis. Am I a bad professor? Why are my students doing so bad? But my students at COS were doing okay, so maybe it's not all my fault, right? And at Fresno City, just across the board, Soc 1 is a course with a high fail rate. So it's not just me. It's a trend that we see at the school. But at COS, again, it's not a high fail rate class, and students tend to do better. And so kind of at my wit's end, I was like, well, what do I do? Do I just fail the average student, or what can I do to help them pass? And so I developed study guides. And since that didn't work to raise their grade, I let them use them on the exam. I would let them drop their lowest exam score. And finally, I curved their exam scores. And so this average exam score of 68%, that is when I let them drop their lowest exam score, and I let them use a cheat sheet, and it was still 68%. So I curved their scores. But I didn't feel good about it. And so it's kind of ironic because in sociology, we talk about mediocrity in the educational system and grade inflation. And here I am part of the problem, right? I mean, I'm passing students who really should not be passing. So when Bailey, my Pearson rep, came to me and to talk to me about REVEL, and how you can really use it as an accountability tool to get students to read. At first I was a little hesitant because, I already have things set up, but again, I was kind of desperate, and I was like, you know what? I need to try something because curving their grades is not okay. And so my short-term goal with using REVEL, right, I decided let's have a go at it and see what happens. So my short-term goal was to see, can using REVEL impact the performance on exams? And so again, because I'm just going from one semester to the next, my lectures are going to be the same. We're still using the same textbook, but if their exam scores can go up, then I know that it was because of REVEL. And so the way that I implemented it in the classroom is that in my Intro to Sociology course, we cover 9 chapters throughout the semester. And so the chapters are broken down into 21 smaller REVEL reading assignments. So almost every class day when they come, they have REVEL assignments too. So for example, on Monday, week 16, we're covering gender. So that means those readings on gender are due before coming to class. And so this, I feel, helps students, especially those lacking strong study skills, to keep up with their reading throughout the course. And so in REVEL, the REVEL portion of the grade is worth 15% of their overall grade. And when I first implemented REVEL, I had it worth 10%. That way, I could try it out, see how it works. And I still had some students who were not buying REVEL or not trying to, buy into the system. And so I increased it now to 15% to get those outliers out and tell people you cannot pass this class if you do not buy the REVEL program. And so their quizzes are worth 3 points each. I give them 3 attempts to try those. And this semester I incorporated 1 auto-graded essay to test it out. And so that seems to be working okay. And that one was worth 100 points. And then I also use the shared writing, and that is worth 20 points. But again, all that put together is worth 15% of their overall grade. So Pearson helped me do an efficacy study to see, now that I've been using REVEL, what was the impact? And again, my short-term goal was, is REVEL going to help improve their performance on exams? And so in the fall of 2014, before I started using REVEL, their average exam score again was 68%. After using REVEL, my Fresno City students, their scores went up to 83%. That is amazing. And I was so proud of them. I was ecstatic. I'm no longer a bad professor. I'm a good professor. My students are doing good. I knew they could do it. And at College of the Sequoias, they had a modest increase. And I think that's because they already had better study skills. But any increase is still good. So that's success in my. So for instructors who already have a system in place, it can be hard to convince them that a change is needed and that it's actually worth it. And efficacy reports can demonstrate the value of a product. And in my case, I think if I had not done the report, I don't think I would know just how valuable a tool it is. I think I would, have those stories of saying, yeah, when I walk in now, I hear my students talking more, but to actually have that concrete evidence that is something that is very persuasive. And so I think it's very important to share efficacy results with other instructors to really show them the impact that REVEL can have in the classroom. Persuade them to try it out. So I've been using REVEL now for 3 semesters. In the spring of 2015, I had 3 classes. The summer, I had 2 classes. And right now, I'm using it for 5 classes. And so some of the benefits that I've seen are improved exam scores, higher completion rates of the reading assignments. So students really like the easy access to the reading, and the quizzes and activities help them to retain the information better. Students are now coming to class better prepared, and what that means is that I'm seeing increased student participation and engagement in class. So now when I ask them, what is deviance? A lot of students you just hear the murmuring throughout the classroom because everybody already knows. And if they already know, now we can get past the introduction phase and start having more in-depth discussions. And now we can talk about stuff that's not even in the book, right? Because they have that covered. So as a result of this increased participation and engagement, students are developing a deeper understanding of the material, and this allows us to apply sociological concepts to their everyday life. So that is one of my student learning outcomes. So REVEL is really helping me improve student learning outcomes. So again, my short-term goal was to see, student performance on exams. But this also led me to start thinking about long-term goals. And so ultimately, I wanted to stop curving exam scores, stop letting students use their study guide on the test, and to stop letting students drop their lowest exam score. So today with REVEL, my Social 1 students and I have met all 3 goals. So now the grade they get is the grade they earned, and I am very happy with that. So thank you for listening to my little presentation, and I wish you good luck and success with REVEL.